When my fiancé Huo Zhao was found and brought back, not only had he lost his memory, but he also brought back a fisherwoman. He looked apologetic. I've lost my memory and forgotten everything about you. Yin Yang saved me, and we've already held a wedding ceremony. I can't let her down. My marriage arrangement with the Huo family was bestowed by the late emperor and cannot be changed. I could only agree to let Yin Yang become a concubine. After the marriage, it was as if I'd been cursed. Everything went wrong, and I died before even reaching 25. Only at death did I learn the truth. Yin Yang, wearing the bright red brocade dress of a principal wife and my golden hairpin, mocked me. Husband never lost his memory. He lied to you. He despises lofty, noble ladies like you the most. Husband has already promised to let my son inherit the heir's position. Oh, I forgot to tell you your daughter was also killed by me. So, what if you are a noble lady from a prestigious family? You still lost to me. The moment I opened my eyes and returned to the day, Huo Zhao was found. I immediately pretended to have face blindness and threw myself into the arms of the Huo family's eldest illegitimate son, Huo Yanji. The Huo family has more than one son. What difference does it make who I marry? I was about to die. Laughably, only at this moment did I finally learn the whole truth. I had lived my life as a complete joke. Yin Yang was dressed in a magnificent bright red brocade gown. This was a color only a principal wife was entitled to wear. The golden hairpin on her head was part of the dowry my mother gave me. Yin Yang was heavily made up. Years of living in luxury had washed away every trace of her former poor and shabby air. She dismissed the servants and entered my room alone. The concubine, who was usually so obedient, now had eyes as if soaked in poison, looking at me with the most vicious gaze. I couldn't breathe properly, my body already failing. She revealed her true face, laughing wildly. Zhang Yue, the legitimate eldest daughter of the Zhang family. Look at yourself now, just like a pathetic wretch. She suddenly leaned close, endless mockery in her eyes. Let me tell you a secret. Our husband never lost his memory at all. He deceived you just to let me in. He said he despises noble ladies like you the most. My throat was dry. I couldn't make a sound. Seeing my wretched state, Yin Yang laughed even more maniacally. Our husband promised me he would give the heir's position to my son. And you? So what if you are a noble lady from a prestigious family? You still lost to me. She changed her tone, savoring the look of pain on my face. At this moment, she seemed to have gained immense satisfaction. Oh, right. I forgot to tell you, your newborn daughter, I was the one who killed her. The reason your body has deteriorated so badly is also because I've been poisoning you for years. I had already reached my final moments in this brief life. All the painful memories were concentrated after marrying Huo Zhao. It was as if I had been cursed. Nothing ever went my way. Probably seeing that I was about to die, Sakura could no longer hide her ambitions and revealed everything to me. My husband is the male lead, and I am the female lead of this entire world. You can only be trampled under my feet. Poor, vicious villainess. You can rest in peace now. Vicious villainess, I am vicious. But from beginning to end, have I ever done a single vicious thing? The moment I opened my eyes, the maidservant Qinghe hurried to report, young Lord Huo has been found. I awoke from the nightmare, looking around. I realized not only was I not dead, but I had also returned to my boudoir before marriage. I guessed that even the heavens couldn't stand to watch anymore, so they gave me a chance to start over. Since I am the vicious villainess, then I'll show the male and female leads just how vicious I can be. Qinghe was still a young girl of 14 or 15, still living brightly. In my previous life, when Sakura and her son framed me, Qinghe was stabbed to death by Huo Zhao while trying to protect me. I threw my arms around Qinghe, sobbing uncontrollably. Qinghe thought I was heartbroken and hastily asked, "Has young miss also heard that young Lord Huo brought back a fisherwoman?" But young Lord Huo lost his memory. That is why he married someone else. Young miss, please don't do anything rash. Even so, Qinghe was still indignant. Just because he lost his memory, he can marry someone else. But young Miss was the daughter-in-law for the Huo family designated by the late emperor. I wiped away my tears, and when I met Qinghe's eyes, I was already smiling radiantly. Silly girl, your young lady isn't crying from heartbreak. Come, let's go meet someone. Qinghe was completely confused. Young lady, are you going to the Duke Zhengguo's residence? When you see the fishing girl later, you mustn't act impulsively. I held up a mirror to look at myself. I really loved how young and beautiful I looked. In my previous life, I was tormented until I became dispirited, and my body festered. I truly wronged myself. After I died, my soul lingered at the Duke Zhengguo's residence, and I watched with my own eyes as that unremarkable, illegitimate son of the Huo family soared to the highest heights. He became a favored minister who killed decisively before the emperor and seized control of the Duke Zhengguo's residence with thunderous force. He personally killed Yingyang, but unfortunately, he was killed by Huo Zhao in return. That day, snow drifted throughout the city. Huo Zhao, as if mad, pointed his sword at Huo Yanji. Ha ha ha, you illegitimate child of a secret mistress, a bastard born of a concubine, and you actually dared to covet your own sister-in-law. Even in death, Zhang Yue can only be mine. Even if I wronged her, it is not your turn to have her. When Huo Yanji died, his palm was open, and in it lay a chestnut candy whose wrapper had long been worn smooth. His gaze was fixed unblinkingly on his palm until it lost focus. Memories gathered back. After dressing up a bit, I sent someone to find out where Huo Yanji was, then headed straight for him. When I saw Huo Yanji, he was walking out of the tavern. After bidding farewell to several men, he was about to mount his horse. I knew that this unremarkable, illegitimate eldest son of the Huo family had already been secretly plotting his future. In my past life, he should have been among the powerful ministers, not dying under the so-called male lead's halo. Lifted my skirt hem and threw myself directly at him. Huo Yanji's 5 senses were extremely sharp. He noticed me. He could have dodged, but he didn't. When I threw myself into his arms, not only did he not dodge, he even seemed to cooperate a little. I wrapped my arms around his lean waist, pressed my face against his chest, and heard his strong, powerful heartbeat. His heartbeat instantly became erratic. The late emperor bestowed the marriage by imperial decree. It cannot be changed. But Huo Yanji is also a son of the Huo family. Marrying him wouldn't count as defying the late emperor's decree. What are you doing? The man's deep, magnetic voice came from above my head. I looked up, pretending not to recognize him, smiling happily. Huo Zhao, you are finally back. You've been missing for half a year. Do you know how worried I was? I kept holding on without letting go. Hearing this, Huo Yanji suddenly furrowed his brow. What did you call me? I gave an irrelevant answer. You are my fiancé. If Huo Yanji didn't like me, he would definitely push me away. But if he went along with the mistake, it would mean he had me in his heart. The man's attractive lips moved slightly, as if hesitating. After a few breaths, his brow relaxed, his eyes deep and unreadable. It is getting late. I'll take you back to the Zhang residence. I nodded, smiling even more brightly. You look much better than before. Am I imagining things? I like you more now. Huo Yanji didn't explain anything. He personally helped me onto the carriage, and when he supported me, his rough palms were covered in sweat. I rode in the carriage while Huo Yanji accompanied me on horseback. I kept lifting the carriage curtain to look at him. When we arrived at the Zhang residence, I took off the pouch from my waist and handed it to him. Hang it on you. Don't take it off. The man paused, somewhat awkwardly accepting the pouch. Under my watchful gaze, he obediently put on the pouch. As soon as Huo Yanji left, Qinghe finally couldn't hold back, her jaw dropping. Miss, you weren't face-blind before, so why did you insist on mistaking the eldest young master of the Huo family for the Huo heir? This servant has heard that the eldest young master's birth mother was a courtesan, and his background is quite disgraceful. The matter of rebirth wasn't convenient to discuss openly, so I was brief. Qinghe, you must remember, You can't keep a man who has changed his heart. Even if Huo Zhao has lost his memory, he is already tainted. Besides, he is faking his amnesia. His intentions are truly vicious to the extreme. The late emperor bestowed the marriage by imperial decree. He didn't dare break off the engagement, nor could he openly take concubines. He is nothing but a despicable coward. The news that Huo Zhao had been found, had lost his memory, and had brought back a fisher girl spread throughout the Zhang residence. Grandmother and my parents all urged me to be magnanimous. Young Master Huo lost his memory, so it is understandable that he married another. What man doesn't have 3 wives and 4 concubines? When you marry into their family, you'll still be the official wife. You need to have the grace to accept others. This is an imperially decreed marriage. It cannot be changed. The wedding date remains the same. That fisherwoman can simply enter the household with the rights of a concubine. My family decided the path ahead for me. No one asked if I was willing. I knew well that with my strength alone, I couldn't shake their convictions. But this marriage must be changed. The next day, the Duke of Zhongguo's manor held a banquet. It was to announce to everyone that Huo Zhao, who had been missing for half a year, had been found. In my previous life, the moment I heard Huo Zhao had returned to the manor, I couldn't wait to see him, and I was extremely unkind to Yin Yang, pulling a sour face on the spot. So I didn't attend the banquet the next day, but this life is different. Not only will I attend, I'll attend in full splendor. Me parents didn't know my intentions and even praised me for being sensible. I just smiled and said nothing. Upon arriving at the Duke of Zhongguo's manor, I spotted Yin Yang at first glance. Her belly was slightly swollen, surrounded by the women of the Huo family. Worthy of being the female lead, no matter what her status, she seemed to easily get everything she wanted. The moment I appeared, everyone present had different expressions on their faces. Yin Yang also guessed my identity. She switched to a pitiful look almost instantly. Huo Zhao strode over quickly and stood beside Yin Yang, afraid I would tear apart his new flame. But I walked straight toward Huo Yanji, who was dressed in black. He stood tall and elegant, his figure straight and slender, his gaze shooting directly at me, his expression unreadable. Under everyone's watchful eyes, I threw myself at him and called out, "Brother Zhao, I get to see you again!" Then I lowered my eyes to the pouch at his waist. "You really are obedient, wearing my pouch like a good boy." With a boom, everyone was dumbfounded. A light in Huo Yanji's eyes suddenly exploded, but when he mulled over the words "Brother Zhao," his gaze darkened again. At this moment, Huo Zhao, who had just recovered his senses, cried out in alarm, "Jiang Ye, what are you doing? Look clearly, who are you hugging?" I turned back in confusion, but my arms still tightly hugged Huo Yanji's waist. Only now did I realize that this illegitimate son of the Huo family surpassed Huo Zhao in both appearance and bearing. I must have been truly blind in my past life to be reluctant to give up that so-called childhood sweetheart relationship. Huo Zhao walked over. He had been in the fishing village for half a year, tanned quite a bit, and had also become thinner. After all days of eating coarse food didn't exactly nourish a person. He was seething with anger. "Zhang Yue, have you no shame? Let go of him." I was astonished. You dark, rough brute, what kind of thing are you? How dare you tell me what to do? I am hugging my own fiancé. What business is it of yours?" Huo Zhao got even angrier, so mad that his nostrils flared slightly, truly without a shred of composure. He finally knew what it felt like to be speechless. In my past life, I suffered so much because of this. At this moment, Huo Yanji's hand pressed against my lower back, not too forcefully yet, just enough to keep me from leaving. Great. Did Huo Yanji dare to face his feelings for me now? I didn't want to fight against everything alone. I needed him. Huo Yanji's voice was extremely cold. "Second brother, Miss Zhang said that I am her fiancé." Huo Zhao wanted to make a move, but Huo Yanji grabbed his wrist and flung him 2 steps away. Yin Yang walked over, looking me up and down, her eyes full of comparison and calculation, along with a flash of resentment. But in an instant, Yin Yang became soft and weak again. She held onto Huo Zhao's arm. Husband, what exactly is going on? Is this Miss Zhang? But you lost your memory and married me first. She shouldn't resent you. We're both innocent here. I was almost disgusted to death. Huo Zhao finally found his backbone and nodded. Zhang Ye, I lost my memory before. It was Yin Yang who saved me and kept me alive. We fell in love in the fishing village, and she is already carrying my child. I can't let her down. Are you doing all this to get revenge on me? You should be more magnanimous. My lower back tightened. Huo Yanji was using some force. When I looked up, I met his dark eyes. Did he also think I was deliberately provoking him just to get revenge on Huo Zhao? I don't like misunderstandings, so I quickly explained, You are my fiancé. You are even wearing my pouch at your waist. Although I have face blindness, I still remember my fiancé is a handsome man. How could he possibly be some dark-skinned brute? My words drew snickers from everyone present. Qinghe hurriedly chimed in. After the young lord went missing, my young miss was so traumatized that she developed face blindness. That is why she mistook someone else for him. I gasped in shock, covering my lips. What? I really mistook someone else? What am I supposed to do? But I only like the person before me. What should I do? I clutched my head with both hands, looking utterly anguished. The Duke and Duchess of Zhongguo arrived upon hearing the news. Huo Zhao was fuming. Zhang Yue, you have no sense of propriety. Huo Yanji remained unusually calm. He grasped the key point. Miss Zhang, you just said, you only like the person before you. You only like me. I nodded while shedding tears. Yes, of course I like handsome men. What else? Who would admire some dark-skinned brute? Huo Yanji's cold, thin lips curved up slightly. My words seemed to give him tremendous encouragement. At the same time, Huo Zhao was about to explode with rage. What did you say? I am a brute, Sakura quickly comforted him. Husband, don't be angry. Sister Jiang is probably just jealous. It is all my fault. I shouldn't have taken advantage of the situation and married you when you lost your memory. I'll leave. She turned to leave, but was held back by Huo Zhao. How laughable. She carried the Huo family's flesh and blood in her womb. How could the Huo family let her leave? She acts, so I'll act too. What should we do? Now, I find the young lord quite unfamiliar, but whenever I see eldest young Master Huo, I feel close and affectionate. Why don't we just switch the marriage? After all, they're both Huo family heirs. It doesn't matter who I marry. My words shocked everyone. The Duchess of Zhongguo immediately objected. After all, if Huo Zhao wanted to secure his footing in the court, he still needed the Zhang family's support. If the marriage were truly switched today, and Huo Zhao took in a fisherwoman, no noble ladies from prestigious families would be willing to marry him in the future. The Duchess of Zhongguo despised Huo Yanzi, this illegitimate son, and would never let him climb up to a marriage alliance with the Zhang family. The Duchess of Zhongguo put on a full smile. Yue, I watched you grow up and have long considered you my daughter-in-law. How could we switch the marriage? A mere illegitimate son isn't worthy of you. Huo Zhao was anxious too. He despised my aloofness, but he also needed me as his legal wife on the surface. He loved Sakura desperately, but if he were really to formally marry her, he'd feel it wasn't right. What a true hypocrite. My mother was summoned over. She sternly scolded me for messing around. The matter of switching marriages fizzled out. When I left, I exchanged a few glances with Huo Yanji, and I saw obvious possessiveness in his eyes. Excellent. That night, the window was pushed open from outside. Qinghe had been drugged with a sleeping incense and fell into a deep sleep. I was sleeping inside the bed curtains and saw the tall figure outside. From the silhouette, I guessed it was Huo Yanji. In my past life, the chestnut candy he clutched tightly until death was something I gave him when I was young. Back then, he had just been brought back to the manor from outside. because his birth mother was a lowly opera singer. He was bullied and looked down upon, like a pitiful little dog curled up in a corner. That day was the birthday of the heir of Duke Zhengguo, and the courtyard was full of distinguished guests. Huo Zhao was surrounded by admirers like stars around the moon. Huo Yanji, however, could only hide in the shadows just to steal a bite of food. I saw him. He was extremely guarded, his big, dark eyes staring at me intently. I stuffed a chestnut candy into his hand and ran off. Who would have thought he would treasure it for so long? At this moment, the bed curtain was lifted at one corner, and my eyes met Huo Yanji's. The man was startled and wanted to flee. I sat up and grabbed the corner of his clothes. "You are already here. Why run away?" Huo Yanji slowly turned around. "You really have face blindness. Did you mistake me for second brother? Is that why you—" He hesitated to speak, and I picked up where he left off. "So that is why I got close to you." "Huo Yanji, are you really that unconfident? Is there a possibility that I just like you?" He finally turned around in the dim firelight. His prominent Adam's apple bobbed. The night clothes outlined his figure completely. Broad shoulders, narrow waist, long legs, he looked even better than the male leads in those romance novels. Why could that bastard Huo Zhao be the male lead, but Huo Yanji couldn't? He refused to believe that nonsense. "Miss Jiang, do you even know what you are saying?" I crawled up from the bed and knelt at its edge, wrapped my arms around Huo Yanji's neck, and kissed him directly on the lips. The man froze completely. He didn't move an inch, but his erratic heartbeat and burning body still betrayed him. After the kiss, I tilted my face and smiled. The face blindness was all an act. "Huo Yanji, I am asking you, do you dare to join forces with me?" Huo Yanji answered evasively. What do you want?" I said bluntly. "I want to switch the marriage." The late emperor bestowed the marriage upon the Zhang and Huo families, but never specified who exactly. "I also want you to take the position of heir, to replace Huo Zhao. I want Huo Zhao and Yingyang to suffer a fate worse than death." I thought Huo Yanji would hesitate, but he agreed immediately, extremely fast, as if afraid I would change my mind. "All right." When Huo Yanji left, his gaze was locked on my lips. Only then did he reluctantly leave. He made me laugh. Huo Zhao treated me like worn-out shoes, but there were also those who treasured me like a gem mown man's. Honey is another man's poison sometimes. It is not that you are not good enough. It is that you met the wrong person. The next day, the Duchess of Zhengguo came to visit. She was worried I might be unhappy about the marriage because of Yingyang's matter, so she proposed to hold the wedding as soon as possible. Moreover, Yingyang would give birth in half a year, and the Duke of Zhengguo's residence needed a proper mistress of the house. Only this way could the Huo family's noble reputation be upheld. See, even with a concubine and illegitimate child causing a scandal, there was still a noble lady willing to marry into the family. On the surface, I remained calm and composed. Behind the scenes, I had people spread word far and wide about my childhood sweetheart romance with Huo Zhao. With Huo Yanji's help, servants at the Duke of Zhengguo's residence deliberately gossiped in front of Yingyang. Things like, "The young lord and Miss Zhang are a match made in heaven. Even if the young lord once lost his memory, he was only looking for novelty. That is why he took up with the fisher girl. Miss Zhang is so beautiful, once she enters the household, the young lord's heart will surely be on Miss Zhang. Only a well-matched couple makes a good marriage. A child born from a fisher girl can only be illegitimate." The more Yingyang heard, the more agitated she became. With her ambition and scheming nature, she would certainly not sit idly by and I provided her with the opportunity. I held a literary gathering and sent her an invitation as well. Yingyang actually showed up, even though people were pointing and whispering about her. She pretended to be aloof, looking down on everyone, like a resilient little white flower. Just as in my previous life, she wanted to ruin my reputation and make me live forever under others' contempt. Her actions were exactly the same as in my previous life. The difference is, in my previous life, I would rather jump into the river than lose my virtue. In this life, I had Huo Yanji come to the Jiang residence, planning to use Yin Yang's scheme against her, and simply consummate my marriage with Huo Yanji for real. Huo Zhao and Yin Yang had already cooked the raw rice into done rice. Huo Yanji and I could do the same. When I slipped away from the others and entered the bedroom, the moment I saw Huo Yanji, I threw myself into his arms. The man's breathing became unsteady, his low, husky voice coming from above my head. "Are you sure about this? You can still change your mind." Though he said that, his large palm was already gripping my waist. I clutched his lapel tightly and murmured, After today, the Zhang and Huo families will have no choice but to swap the marriage." Hearing this, Huo Yanji didn't hesitate for a moment, directly sweeping me up in his arms and striding toward the bed. I had drunk the pear blossom wine that Yin Yang had spiked. So when Huo Yanji nearly lost control, I didn't feel much discomfort. On the contrary, this experience brought me quite a bit of pleasure, completely different from my previous life. I don't know if it was because of the pear blossom wine, or because the person was different. By the time I regained my clarity, a commotion came from outside the door. Yin Yang acted like an innocent, naive, and kind-hearted woman, her voice full of concern. I truly saw a man follow Miss Jiang into the room. "Hurry and open the door to see if Miss Jiang is all right," I sneered coldly. Huo Yanji personally helped me dress. A hint of murderous intent appeared in his eyes. His voice still carried a husky tone of lingering unsatisfaction. "She deserves to die." I leaned weakly against Huo Yanji's chest. Mother came upon hearing the news, her face full of anxiety. It grew even more lively outside the door, and Yin Yang shamelessly pushed open the room door. I had instructed Qinghe beforehand, so she was not present. With no one blocking the doorway, I deliberately let Yin Yang succeed. But when everyone looked over, Huo Yanji and I had already tidied ourselves up. Huo Yanji clasped his hands and bowed deeply to Mother. "Your son-in-law will take responsibility." Mother raised her hand to strike Huo Yanji, but I blocked her. And today, the Duchess of Zhengguo also came to our door. She cursed at Huo Yanji too, her words utterly vile. What a shameless person. Huo Yanji and I stood side by side, and I slapped the Duchess of Zhengguo's face right there on the spot. "Duchess, please watch your words." "What happened today, young Master Huo saved me. Otherwise, my virtue would have been lost to a stable hand." Everyone had arrived. The show is about to begin. Qinghe made her entrance at this moment, bringing along a servant boy and the bound coachman. At this moment, Yin Yang's face turned deathly pale, her lips trembling slightly. Qinghe knelt on the ground, crying out loudly, "Madam, you must seek justice for the young miss. The fisherwoman that young Master Huo brought back truly has sinister intentions. She bribed the coachman and drugged the young miss, trying to ruin the young miss's virtue. This servant has brought the witness here. If I am not mistaken, the fisherwoman still has unused drug powder hidden on her." Mother swayed, pointing at Yin Yang in fury. Even if Mother didn't truly care for me, she cared about her reputation and had to uphold the Zhang family's dignity. She immediately ordered, "Summon, search her." The situation was dire, even though Yin Yang was now a person of the Duke Zhengguo's residence. At this moment, the Zhang family couldn't possibly let her off. The old servant woman stepped forward to search her. Very quickly, a packet of drug powder was found on Yin Yang. Yin Yang's face was already ashen as death. The coachman kneeling to the side had already been tortured. At this moment, having lost all backbone, he confessed everything at once and testified against Yin Yang on the spot. It was her. She gave this slave 10 taels of silver and told this slave to follow the young miss. She even said as long as this slave succeeded, I could become the Zhang family's son-in-law. She bewitched this slave. "Spare my life, madam." Mother was furious. "Summon, give this horse slave 50 strikes with the rod, then sell him to the West Market." At this point, Mother slapped Yin Yang. She had already realized the situation and decided to let everyone see the truth clearly, so as to spare the Zhang family from gossip. No matter what, they had to stand on the moral high ground. No wonder you insisted on bringing people here. You had ulterior motives all along. How dare you frame the eldest miss of the Zhang family? Who gave you the nerve? Could it be young Lord Huo? If you want to break off the engagement, just say so. Why resort to such despicable tricks? Mother was indeed worthy of being the main wife. She immediately turned her attack toward the Duchess of Zhengguo. Since things have come to this, there is nothing more to say. The Zhang family will enter the palace tomorrow to seek an audience with His Majesty and let His Majesty decide. The Duchess of Zhengguo glared at Yingyang, but could only apologize to Mother. In her previous life, the Duchess of Zhengguo and her son Huo Zhao had been extremely protective of Yingyang, never giving her a hard time. But today, right in front of Mother, the Duchess of Zhengguo slapped Yingyang several times in a row. "I'll deal with you when we get back." The farce came to an end. Father and elder brother also hurried back to the residence. Huo Yanji was neither humble nor arrogant. He talked with father and elder brother in the study for half an hour. No one knew what he said to them, but when the three came out of the study, their expressions had all softened. Father lightly patted Huo Yanji's shoulder and praised him generously. "I underestimated you before. This old man thinks highly of you." My elder brother also said, "From now on, we're family, young Master Huo. You are welcome to visit often. I still have matters to consult you about." My body was weak, and only afterwards did I discover that Huo Yanji's physique was astonishing, and that part of him was the same. When I saw him out of the residence, my legs were trembling. Huo Yanji was attentive and instructed Qinghe, "Take good care of your young miss." Qinghe nodded vigorously, watching Huo Yanji leave. Qinghe muttered quietly, "Miss young Master Huo is much more handsome than the Huo heir. It is just a pity his status isn't high. But I didn't think so. No, he will sooner or later rise to great heights." That night, Huo Yanji came again. His gaze was gentle, but still burning hot. I obtained a jar of ointment from the palace. "Let me apply it for you." When I realized what kind of ointment it was, my face flushed red. "I can do it myself." Huo Yanji didn't insist, but he made his stance very firm. The fisherman's daughter was taken back to the duke's residence and received a harsh beating. The child is gone. Second brother still doesn't want to let you go. But now, you and I have already consummated our union. Even if you want to go back on it, I won't let go. He seemed very uneasy. Enduring my bodily discomfort, I leaned close to him and kissed the corner of his lips. "I won't go back on it. I only like you." Hearing this, the man's tense expression visibly relaxed, and his gaze became even more ardent. Good. He didn't talk much, but his eyes and actions all revealed his fondness for me. I don't mind relying on him. Fighting alone is too tiring. Having a strong and loyal ally isn't a bad thing. The next day, father and my brothers all entered the palace to meet the emperor. Huo Zhao came to the door. He had dark circles under his eyes, like he hadn't slept well all night. He looked at me arrogantly like before. "Zhang Ye, Yingyang's child, is gone. She has already paid the price. You shouldn't keep holding on to this. Besides, you've lost your virtue too. You made such a grave mistake, yet I am willing to let bygones be bygones. What reason do you have to refuse the marriage? Yingyang lost a child, while you only lost your chastity." I was completely speechless. "Young Lord Huo, what do you mean by this? I no longer plan to marry you. From now on, I'll be your sister-in-law. Please watch your words." Huo Zhao took a step forward. Probably because his emotions got the better of him, his jaw clenched. "I won't allow it. You are my fiancé. We grew up together." "How dare you switch to marry that bastard son? He won't allow it." "But who does he think he is?" He stepped in front of me, remembering how in my past life, he was stabbed to death by Huo Zhao. I ordered, "He, hit him for me." The dignified young Lord Huo dares to harass his future sister-in-law. How improper. He is a loyal servant who only listens to me. This little maid actually raised her hand and slapped Huo Zhao. Huo Zhao was stunned from the slap. He had always been above everyone, the noble and unparalleled young lord. When had he ever received such treatment? Zhang Yue, you had someone beat me, just because I brought back a fisherwoman. You are making such a scene with me. I don't even mind that you lost your virginity. What more do you want? Don't be so ungrateful. I was so angry I laughed. You don't mind that I lost my virginity, but I mind that you are filthy. I am the one who doesn't want you anymore. Don't you understand? Huo Zhao lost control, shedding all pretense of dignity, and reached out to grab me. Just then, a powerful voice rang out. Stop. It was Huo Yanji. Behind him were my father and brother. All three glared furiously at Huo Zhao. Father was a powerful minister with a keen eye. He already knew that Huo Yanji was now highly favored by the emperor and had handled several important matters for his majesty, so he also looked favorably upon Huo Yanji. Young Lord Huo, this old man has already had an audience with the emperor. His majesty has agreed to let my daughter marry the eldest young master of the Huo family instead. Go back to your manor and cuddle with your fisherwoman. Huo Zhao couldn't believe it and still wanted to pester us. But he was driven out by my father and brother. All the way out, Huo Zhao shouted loudly, Jiang Yue, this shouldn't be happening between us. I don't believe you no longer have feelings for me. How truly laughable. He was the one who cast me aside. He was the one who would rather dote on a fisherwoman. And now he is shamelessly clinging on. In my past life, I was truly blind. Just thinking about it makes me feel utterly foolish. And so, my marriage to Huo Yanji was settled. The whole city was in an uproar. Huo Yanji's methods were far more formidable than I had imagined. Within just a few days, all the storytellers in the city were telling tales of how the Huo heir doted on his concubine, and even revealed that the Huo heir had never lost his memory at all. The so-called amnesia and remarriage was just a cover. Huo Yanji also made sure everyone knew that my marriage switch was entirely orchestrated by the fisherwoman. For a while, Huo Yanji and I were praised as destined for each other and a perfect match. Meanwhile, Huo Zhao became a despised heir of the duke's manor. The censors were also eager to impeach him. His Majesty reprimanded the duke in court and gave special praise to Huo Yanji. And so the duke began to take notice of this illegitimate son. On the day Huo Yanji sent the betrothal gifts, my father and brother were stunned. These, Huo Yanji was open and forthright. These are all from this son-in-law's personal savings. Everything I have belongs to Ayue. Anything this son-in-law can offer, I will give to Ayue. When mother came to see me, she was all smiles. Yue, it seems your initial idea of switching marriages was right. Young Master Huo really had hidden depths. The betrothal gifts he sent, just those few jade Buddha statues alone, are worth a fortune. I heard from your father that those betrothal gifts are several times more generous than your sister-in-law's dowry back then. You should know. My sister-in-law is the daughter of Zhongyin's wealthiest merchant. 2 years ago, when sister-in-law married in, her dowry procession stretched all the way from the ferry dock to the gates of the Zhang manor. I was overjoyed inside, once again feeling Huo Yanji's sincerity soon. The wedding day arrived. When I saw Huo Yanji again, he was dressed in a bright red ceremonial robe, his appearance incomparably handsome. My heart skipped a beat. He was just too good-looking. Huo Yanji's gaze was burning yet exceptionally gentle. Aye, bear with it for a while. Once I become the family head, you'll be the rightful mistress. I believed him. The bed curtains fell, and just when everything was perfect, the sound of a xiao flute came from outside. I could tell right away it was Huo Zhao's doing. In the past, I thought his xiao playing was heavenly. Now, it only sounded grating. Fortunately, Huo Yanji quickly diverted my attention, making me unable to focus on anything outside. Huo Yanji called my name over and over. Ayue, Ayue. You are mine focus. Don't mind that idiot outside. I didn't know how long Huo Zhao played the xiao outside last night. It wasn't until daybreak the next day that I regained my senses. Looking back, Huo Yanji had actually been quite restrained that day. I hurried to get up, but Huo Yanji pressed down on my shoulder. No need to rush to serve tea. It is fine to go a bit later. In my previous life, I was the young lord's wife, But because Huo Zhao was called away by Yingyang on our wedding night, I became the laughingstock of the entire household. When I served tea the next day, the Duchess of Zhengguo treated me very harshly. But as it turns out, marrying Huo Yanji meant I didn't have to suffer any of that. I dawdled through washing up and getting dressed, then took a cup of bloodbird's nest before heading to the front courtyard with Huo Yanji. The Duke and Duchess of Zhengguo had long been waiting. Huo Zhao's expression was extremely unpleasant, the dark circles under his eyes even heavier. What surprised me was that he had been back in the capital for a while now, yet he was still so dark and thin. The former Huo Zhao had been fair and refined. Even if he got tanned in the fishing village, he shouldn't still look like such a rough man. Lady Jiang, such airs you put on. You dare slight your parents-in-law on the first day of marriage. The Duke and I have been waiting for you for ages. The Duchess had been dissatisfied with this marriage from the start. My becoming Huo Yanji's wife was practically a slap in her son's face, but I simply didn't want to admit fault. Huo Yanji squeezed my hand, his eyes signaling me not to panic. Somehow I felt reassured. The Duke cleared his throat. What is this? You two still haven't served tea yet. Do you expect your elders to serve you instead? The Duke put on his airs as head of the household. Just then, the steward came leading the chief eunuch from the imperial presence. Imperial edict has arrived. Everyone hurried to receive the edict. After the chief eunuch finished reading the imperial edict, everyone's expressions varied. Huo Yanji had been promoted to commander of the Qilin Guard. From now on, he would be the emperor's trusted confidant. The duke's attitude changed completely. He rewarded the chief eunuch and praised Huo Yanji endlessly. You are the one who made something of yourself. You've brought honor to your father. The Duchess's face had already frozen stiff. Huo Zhao was even more like a walking corpse. Rewards flowed into the mansion like water gifts from the emperor for my marriage to Huo Yanji. The tea ceremony continued, and no one dared to make things difficult for me anymore. Even the Duchess politely gave me a red envelope. When it was Huo Zhao's turn, I suddenly found it amusing and laughed. Why aren't you calling me sister-in-law? Huo Zhao's lips trembled as he squeezed out 2 words through gritted teeth. Sister-in-law. He probably didn't sleep at all last night. Thinking back to my wedding night in my previous life, I didn't sleep either. Karma really is a bitch. Huo Zhao's body swayed and he fainted. The Duchess rushed over to hold her son. The Duke grew increasingly disappointed and disgusted with his legitimate son. After the tea ceremony ended, Huo Yanji carried me back to our courtyard. This drew giggles from the maids behind us. I pounded on him. Husband, I can walk by myself. Huo Yanji smiled and whispered in my ear. Wife worked hard last night. I'll try to restrain myself next time. I noticed your legs were weak just now, so naturally I should carry you back. Huo Yanji handed over the keys to his private treasury, along with all the farmlands, property deeds, shops, and other assets to me. Wife, you may dispose of these assets as you wish. I teased him. Aren't you afraid I'll squander it all? Huo Yanji was amused. I'll do my best not to let you squander it all. However much you spend, I'll earn it back. I wasn't idle. I started winning people over with silver the moment I got it. This duke's manor will sooner or later become mine. And Huo Yanji's not. 2 days later, the servant I'd bribed brought news. Eldest young madam. The young lord got drunk and beat Yin Yang. Last night, Yin Yang started bleeding again. Someone who just lost a baby can't take a beating. Weren't those two supposed to be deeply in love in this life? Without me as a foil, are they no longer so affectionate? The Duchess was busy arranging matches with noble ladies for Huo Zhao. But because of Yin Yang, few noble ladies were willing to marry into the Duke's manor, even to become the young lord's wife. The Duchess took her anger out on Yin Yang, treating her harshly in every way. Huo Zhao often ran into me, but as if by some twist of fate, every time he appeared, a servant would call him away. I guessed it was Huo Yanji's doing. He heard that within just a month he had rendered 2 more great services and earned the emperor's praise. One day Yin Yang appeared out of nowhere and suddenly knelt before me. I was startled and nearly didn't recognize her before. She could still be called a pretty young thing, but now her hair was dry and brittle, her face utterly haggard, and upon closer look, she even had a few gray hairs. Her eyes were bloodshot, but she spoke with conviction. "Eldest young madam, you've already married the eldest young master. You shouldn't let the young lord keep thinking about you. I beg you to stay away from the young lord from now on. He and I were married in the fishing village. I am his proper wife." I frowned. "You two are indeed well matched. But what does that have to do with me? Who he thinks about isn't something I can decide." A powerful hatred suddenly burst forth in Yin Yang's eyes. "You are so high and mighty. You think you are amazing. You look down on me. It is only because my status is lowly. Otherwise, I definitely wouldn't lose to you." I was completely confused. Given the grudge from my past life, the fact that I didn't just kill her directly already counts as showing mercy. I was waiting for her to reap what she sowed. I chuckled lightly. "Have you forgotten? It was you who stole my fiancé, and it was also you who tried to harm me. What I look down on isn't your status, but your dirty tricks." Yin Yang still spoke with conviction. "If it weren't for you, the young lord and I would definitely grow old together. Our child wouldn't have been lost either. It is all because of you, Jiang Ye. You vicious woman, you are utterly malicious." I picked at my ear, and Qing He immediately understood, having the maidservants drag Yin Yang away. That evening, when Huo Yanji returned to the manor, he was visibly displeased. But the moment he saw me, the murderous aura around him instantly vanished. "Did those blind fools upset you again?" I shook my head. If it were before, I would have been angry. But now I just feel that it is not worth expending even a bit of energy. Huo Yanji opened his cloak and embraced me into his arms. He seemed to really enjoy being this intimate. "What Madam says is quite right. All your energy should be spent on me. Those troublesome matters, you don't need to bother with them. It will be peaceful soon." Huo Zhao must have gone crazy, playing the shao outside the courtyard as soon as night fell. Every time Huo Yanji heard the sound of the shao, his possessiveness grew even stronger, not settling down to sleep until the middle of the night. I was exhausted and slept deeply, so naturally I wouldn't be disturbed by the shao. At the royal hunt a month later, Huo Zhao pushed the crown prince out as a shield to avoid a fierce tiger. Fortunately, Huo Yanji acted in time, saving the crown prince and killing the tiger. Huo Zhao seemed to have lost his soul, no longer having his protagonist halo. He had one of his legs bitten off by the tiger. His Majesty was furious. He severely reprimanded Huo Zhao and stripped him of his position as heir. Huo Yanji deserved a reward for his merit. Seeing the situation, the Duke immediately knelt and begged His Majesty to give the heir title to Huo Yanji. When this happened, the Duchess nearly went mad, smashing things all over the manor. She vented her anger even more on Yin Yang, beating and kicking her. What made the Duchess even more devastated was that not long after, her maternal family also abandoned her and Huo Zhao. He became the undisputed young madam of the Duke's manor. In my previous life, I was also the young madam, but the circumstances in this life are completely different. The Duchess, Huo Zhao, and Yin Yang were locked up in an abandoned cold courtyard. The Duke's manor announced to the public that these three had contracted a severe illness and could not go out. Huo Yanji understood me well. Death would be too easy for them. Since Madame always has nightmares because of them, then this husband will make them wish they were dead. Qing He occasionally went to gather information, and after returning, she told me, "Madam, those three have gone mad, especially Yin Yang, saying things like she is the female lead and she absolutely won't return the fortune." Return fortune. It was return, not Lowe's. I vaguely understood why I lost so inexplicably in my previous life, as if I'd been cursed. The protagonist of this life is myself now.